Welcome back to the Black Pill. Content warning: rape, libertarian bullshit, racism, maybe an epithet or two. Because to talk Ayn Rand, we have to talk Lovecraft first. I recently read and reread Lovecraft. I got the complete works and read all of the complete works, every word, start to finish. Some of that was new to me, and some of it I vaguely remembered reading when I was a kid, 15 or 16, something like that. And this younger version of me read past a lot of gnarly stuff. Right past slaves, like the god of all the inner gods in his castle. When the protag finally gets there, finds him in his chair all bloated and whatever, and he has Negro slaves, literal Negro slaves. Read right past it. The slanty-eyed Oriental is that the same story? He just shows up and everyone knows he's evil because he's Oriental and has slanty eyes. And past the mysterious case of Charles Dexter Ward, right? Ward goes to the house that his ancestor used to inhabit when he was like lord of all the land and whatever, and now there are misbegotten half Negroes living in that house. So many other instances, and I read past every one of them and never even flinched, never even went, that seems racist to me. I was too young. I was just a baby Jason. I didn't know anything. Read right past it. Sometimes I hear someone say something like, I love Ayn Rand, and I want to just grab them and go, yeah, me too. Which rape scene is your favorite? Because like I did with Lovecraft, they have to have read past some gnarly shit to love Ayn Rand. She felt the blood beating in her throat, in her eyes, the hatred, the helpless terror in her blood. She felt the hatred. She fought in a last convulsion, then the sudden pain shot up and she screamed, then she lay still. It was an act that could be performed in tenderness as a seal of love, or in contempt as a symbol of humiliation and conquest. It could be the act of a lover, or the act of a soldier violating an enemy woman. He did it as an act of scorn, not as love, but as defilement, and this made her lie still and submit. One gesture of tenderness from him, and she would have remained cold, untouched by the thing done to her body. But the act of a master taking shameful, contemptuous possession of her was the kind of rapture she had wanted. Ayn Rand, The Fountainhead. Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead is about an iconoclast, Rourke, a man with vision and the character to see that vision manifest in the world. Along the way, he's beaten down and tormented by second-handers who not only mock his vision, but sue him for ineptitude and steal his company. In the end, this iconoclast triumphs over all the second-handers, builds a huge skyscraper as a testament to ego, and gets the girl of his dreams. Is about the conflict between individuality and collectivism, the virtue of being selfish rather than accommodating. Rand portrays those who accommodate, who listen to criticism and incorporate feedback, as weaklings and fools. They are ultimately the losers in this story. The winner is the man who does what he wants, no matter the rules, no matter the opinions of others, and no matter the consequences. He forces himself upon the world the way he forces himself upon the woman who eventually marries him. Written long before the no means no movement, Dominique demands to be taken by a strong man and marries her rapist. Philosophically, there's a lot to be said for doing what you think is right no matter what. The Nuremberg war trials would never have happened had people really been capable of this sort of moral iconoclasticism, saying no to authority and yes to their sense of morality. But the morality portrayed here is a psychopathic one, without love, without concern for one's fellow humans, without compassion, and without constraint. A strong theme in this book is take what you want and damn the rest. We live in a culture with a strong sense of individualism, and we admire someone willing to risk it all for their vision. We like to think that we would not be where we are today without the vision of a few strong-willed men. It's part of our American mythology. That's all fine. That's all well. If you read the book, it's a story, though, not about an iconoclast, but about a rapist. Dominique says no, and he rapes her until she says yes. Ultimately, Rourke wants to build this skyscraper, a monument to his own vision, and the people who live in the city don't want it. To them, it's an eyesore, a potential blight upon the horizon. The story is about him getting what he wants, a gigantic, phallic skyscraper with which he literally rapes the sky. The Fountainhead is a story about rape and rape culture. Rape culture is a set of conditions, policies, and attitudes that enable rape or even almost create rape. Something like the modern Catholic Church is very much of a rape culture, in as much as when people in positions of trust are accused of crimes against children, those people are not given over to the authorities of the state and federal government, but rather hidden away, moved somewhere where the authorities can no longer reach them. So now we have power without accountability, and rape is almost a natural consequence of those conditions. We have things like prison, where we take people and remove them from polite society and close them behind walls with minor supervision, and then whatever happens again. There's little to no accountability for something like prison rape. It's almost guaranteed to happen. We have things like football programs where adolescent or young men are under the almost total power and dominance of a select group of coaches. Those coaches have power over their lives. They can choose to play or not play those young men. Those young men then have massive incentives to do whatever the coaches want, regardless of whether that's what they want and whether they're of the appropriate age to consent to such behavior. And then those men are protected within those programs, no matter what they do. These things are rape culture, and by extension, a nation that systematically brutalizes an underclass of Black people for about 4 centuries, and then criticizes those same people when they wish to kneel for the national anthem rather than stand in order to protest that violence. That is rape culture. Ayn Rand novels. They're not about rape culture, but they absolutely exemplify it. So when free market capitalists and libertarians open their argument with, I read Ayn Rand in college just the same as you, and I fell in love with it, and that's when I became a libertarian, my butt puckers, honestly. Honestly. Freedom from government is not freedom. Inasmuch as the government is here to help provide an even playing field to everybody, inasmuch as we have the power to vote bad people out of office, inasmuch as elections are free and fair, government protects us from tyranny. The American experiment is about protecting us from tyranny. An unregulated market is not a free market. It's a tyrannical market where the one who starts the game with the most money inevitably wins the game. Rourke in the story has a girlfriend who says no, and he rapes her until she says yes. And he has a city and a council who say no, and he builds his tower anyway and rapes the sky. And what better metaphor is there for Donald John Trump?